All right, so most of you know who we are, a few of you don't, so I'll cover quickly who's Cadence and what are you guys doing here listening to a guy like this for 30 minutes. We're a partner with 3 major companies, OpenText, specifically in the space of extended ECM, content server, intelligent capture. We're also doing Salesforce integrations, contract management, which you'll see today, and some accounts payable solutions as well. We've done for some fitness organizations and other private entities for automating accounts payable. We're also partnered with Microsoft. We focus on 3 main areas of Microsoft: the SharePoint or 365 stack, Microsoft Teams, of course, which has just exploded over the last 15, 18 months here, and Power Apps or Power Automate. Third thing we're in is SAP, and we're an SAP partner. We deploy vendor invoice management. Again, that's that accounts payable automation, but specific to the SAP world. And intelligent capture for SAP, which is an OpenText product that integrates and embeds itself in SAP for any kind of OCR or scanning and capture, and SuccessFactors documentation as well. So those point solutions we focus on are HR, accounts payable, contract management, of course, information and records management, and case management with different systems like Salesforce, Dynamics, or some others. I'm going to cover quickly just some of the pain points with contract management, some of the patterns that we keep seeing here at Cadence and that I've seen before even Cadence in the contract management and contract lifecycle world. And then I'll go into the actual demonstration. If you know me, you know I like to show demos and real scenarios as opposed to play around in slides. So the first pain point we always see is, how do I request a contract? Or is there a formal process internally to request a contract? Is it under such an amount? Does it have to go to somebody for numbering and approval? Where can we actually request a contract from? So that's one of the pain points. In the 2019 world, when you were in an office, you'd usually run around to somebody's desk, ask Sally or Julie, how do I do this and who do I talk to do that? In the digital world, while we're doing everything digitally now for a little while, we want to make sure we can do that in a system. Second thing is approved language generation. So using contract templates and that approved language that a lawyer and legal has already reviewed makes its way into a contract template and is sticky in that template. We've had a few clients talk to us about some of their sales folks that change language to their own benefit so they can close the deal faster as opposed to using approved language or negotiating and going back to legal with that language. So very important that that language is approved and not able to be changed or modified. Placeholders. So this little thing that you can embed in your contracts is just placeholders, and it's a world of difference for everybody. So as you get placeholders into your documents, again, it's more standardized language and the ability to now determine logic in both the documents or the contract language, in addition to the workflow side of things. So these can be things like vendor name, value, a list of line items, or anything that may be up for purchase if it's a goods purchase. Approvals used to be run around the office, get signatures. Maybe you did the odd email approval, but now e-signatures exploded, of course. DocuSign, OpenText has their own core signature as well. They're absolutely everywhere, and I'm going to show you a DocuSign integration with contract management today. We want to make sure we have everything in a central location. So for the governance folks on the line today, of course, that's records management with appropriate retention. For anybody not quite in that area, in this world, you're looking for, where do I find things? Simple as that. Can I find things? Are they structured? Do I know when I have to do the next reminder, amendment, extension on the contract? So we want to make sure we have a central location. And then the last piece really in the pain point is monitoring. Certain contracts have 90-day out clauses, or they auto renew. Certain clauses will bump up 10%. Certain contracts will bump up 10% upon completion of 1 year into year 2. So you want to make sure you can monitor those and have a way, besides using your Outlook calendar in an independent fashion, but globally or corporately, you can go and monitor those contracts and come away with some of those reminders and features that I'm going to show off today. So breaking off into the system, I'm going to show off one of our go-to configurations for procurement. So this is Content Server 20.4. It's also called Extended ECM if you're not an OpenText customer. But this is one of our procurement dashboards, and I hope everybody can see this screen. If not, Michelle or Jared, just let me know. On this dashboard, what we're really looking to do is bring everything up front so that we're not digging in metadata fields or spreadsheets or some other clunky way of an index for things that are important. And it sounds really simple in the configuration. It is, not overly complicated, but something that provides a lot of value. So here you can see that there's contracts expiring coming up. You can see that rotating widget in the middle with 30, 60, and 90 days. And then on the far right, you can see everything that's already expired. So I'm going to go more into this logic in a second on how we've structured contracts, how we've structured the documentation around them, some of the retention capabilities, and walk through those pain points and the solution to them in the next 20 minutes or so. So the first piece of this is we need to request a contract. So we can use a standard workflow for that. As the requester of the contract, I can be prompted to fill in certain information. Now, these are all optional fields and fields that can be configured in the system, and we can pull vendor lists. So we can say you're only able to request a contract with an approved vendor. We can't go out and grab a new vendor. Maybe we have a vendor of record list that we need to maintain. So we're only going to do a contract with approved vendors in this instance. So we're going to do a contract with Gringotts. We're going to fill in some start and end date information in the contract type. It's a 1-month services contract. We don't quite know the value yet, so we'll leave that blank. We're going to nominate a project manager. It could be from our system, of course, and a contract manager. We're not going to add any attachments, but that is possible if there's something you have, maybe a quote or something you need to attach to this. And we're just going to start this contract request. As this contract request takes place, it's going to actually give an assignment to somebody to formally approve that request. Now, for demo purposes, I'm logged in as the same user, and they're going to go and approve this request or potentially reject it. So we can see all the values here, not changeable. We can see that this was submitted by Jordan, and we're going to approve or reject this request. What this actually does upon approval is it creates a container or a business workspace for that contract. So that contract can then be referred to in that central location with all of its documentation and be very structured. So upon approval, it's going to create that workspace. I'm going to go back into our procurement dashboard, open the contracts area, and you'll notice that everywhere we have an active contract, we have a vendor name. So all the vendors are organized here. Everybody is able to, based on access, go in here and view everything organized by vendor and then organized by contract number. So we just created contract number 400 that was auto-created by the system. And inside of this workspace, it has a standard folder structure for everything that's going to occur with a contract. As we're negotiating, we use the correspondence folder to drag and drop emails between internal and external parties. After we've executed a contract, we'll have the executed documents area. This can be things like the signing log if it went out for e-signature, the actual executed agreement, and we can purge all of the draft agreements because they're no longer necessary, and any amendments that have taken place. Maybe you have some change orders or some contract language that's changed throughout the duration of the project. On the overview side of things, we can assign a team. Now, this isn't a Microsoft team. This is the team concept inside of OpenText. And we're able to see that we have a project manager, a contract manager, which was Jordan. I was the initial requester, and Michelle is another contract manager. If I do want to add more folks to my team and grant further access to contract 400 and its contents based on roles, we can add another participant from within the system and say we want 2 project managers. Let's say we want Kathy, wrong role, to be a project manager. Kathy doesn't have a picture. If we want different roles, right now we have 2 defaulted out of our configuration, contract manager and project manager. All these roles, if you're familiar with Content Server, will be assigned to permissions, and the permissions can be assigned at a folder or a document level. So you can change the look and feel and the security based on the role at this level, as opposed to an Active Directory group organizational unit level. So that's a bit around contract requests. Now, if we want to actually go through and draft a contract, and we're a departmental level employee, we're not in the legal department, we're not in procurement, we don't really know what to do, we can go through and actually create a document from a template. So we can store templates in the system, we can have them configured and connected to contracts, and you can see there's 4 recent ones we worked with, also 4 standard templates in the system. And we can say we want to do a statement of work, the Cadence Solutions statement of work template. As we go forward with this, we can put in the value, and it will also inherit everything else from the contract management workspace, ID 400 up here that we initially entered in the contract request. We can click create, and it's going to go ahead and create this item here, which is our standard template for statement of work. Now, of course, everything's audited. If you're familiar with the Smart View and everything, you can see who created this and when. You can see any audit history of it as well. And we can view all the properties around it that are inherited from the contract. As we edit this, we can actually see it's going to enter in the placeholders into the document. So again, if we want to restrict our documents, we can make this so these documents in this contract language cannot be changed. It's all auto-generated from within the system and put into the actual contract language without needing to do anything else. Further to that, we can do logic in the document based on those placeholders. So if you have the value of a contract, if it's over $1 million and you need a different insurance clause, that can be injected into the document. If it's under $1 million, that can be injected into the document. So we went through, we've got the placeholders, we've done the template, we have the request, and now we're going to have to send this off for approvals. So typically we want to do a bit of an internal approval, get a few, I's dotted and T's crossed, and then send that externally for approval. So we're going to start the workflow on this contract. We're going to pick our workflow type. We're doing a contract approval. And we're going to pick our reviewer. We're going to make it ad hoc for now. And we're going to go over to John. We'll start this, give John a little message, and send this off. I'm going to log in as John quickly on a different screen. You can see we're now in as John, and he has a task for internal review, due in about a week. We can ask some standard questions. This is more so to just show off that John has a task and has he reviewed everything. He can do the activity on this contract. He can view that there's no signatures yet to date, so this has not went out for e-signature at this point. If it's integrated with DocuSign or Core Signature from OpenText, you'll actually see the signatures here. So you can go through multiple signatories, and it will all be displayed in the workflow side of things in OpenText. John's going to approve this, and the next step is it's actually going to go back to Jordan, this screen here, and Jordan has to prep the document for external signature with DocuSign. That's better. All right, so a little different example. We're into an NDA document, but same concept here. This pushes it over to DocuSign for signature. Yes, you need a DocuSign subscription as a corporation. It will prompt you to log in as the DocuSign user that has a license. You don't need a license for everybody, but you will need a license for folks that are going to send the actual document for external signature. So if you've used DocuSign before, if not, I think everybody probably signed something with an e-signature tool now, but you're basically building this for signature. So I can say I want somebody to sign here. I want them to maybe initial at the bottom of the page previous, and I want to put the date signed right beside the signature. So this is that preparation stage for signature. We're going to send this on, and DocuSign is going to take over from this point, and it's going to send this now out to the outside party for external signature. So the workflow is still connected to DocuSign. They communicate every 15 minutes, and they broker the transaction and the flow between the workflow engine and the outside DocuSign piece. So I'm going to open up the document or the email, and now we're going to log into this. If I'm the external person, I'm Jordan from the outside, and I have to log in and sign this. One second, just a background noise. If I have to log in and sign this as an outsider, I'm going to log into DocuSign. It's going to walk me through everything. If I just want to click start, it's going to take me to where I need to initial, where I need to sign, and you can see the date already beside the signature. So as we click finish here, if we have multiple signers, we can do it in order. It can go to signer 1, then signer 2, or it can go to everybody at once. That's the outside interaction from an outside party. Pure DocuSign, they don't even see the word OpenText. They don't see anything to do with the workflow, but they are participating in the workflow. As the outsider as well, in true DocuSign fashion, they'll be given a copy of the document if that's how you've configured it. We'll be given this. And you can see all the signatures and everything here that have taken place, and they're deemed valid by Adobe. So that's the approval side. If we go back to the central location side of things, that's the ability in the system to go and find things that have now been signed. So the contract we just sent for signature takes about 15 minutes to find its way back through the workflow engine and be filed appropriately. But in true, cooking fashion, we've staged one that was executed previously. So everything that gets executed, at least in this scenario, from a DocuSign perspective or an approvals perspective, will be put into the executed documents location under that contract ID. Inside of that location, we can both have the certificate of completion, so that's everything that was signed with DocuSign, and its signature log. This one was signed yesterday or 4 or 5 days ago. In addition to the signed in PDF contract itself. So central location, a hardened, secured contract now with oversight for everybody associated with it. Metadata attached, project team, contract management team, everything's here. If we go and let's say we want to actually do a reminder on one of these contracts, we want to make sure that when something's been monitored or we monitor something, we can actually go through, let's grab a different one. And set a reminder flag. So what a reminder flag is the ability to say, when is something due? When does it start? When is it activated? So 1 day prior to the due date. And who should it be assigned to for the reminder? So we can automate this. This can automatically be assigned to the contract manager, project manager, somebody in procurement, somebody in legal. And this is essentially a reminder that starts and will show up in your workflow tasks in Content Server. So it's going to show up here as a blue flag in your assignments. You can see this reminder was firing last Friday, and this one was from late 2020. So that's kind of what I wanted to cover today, was going through requesting contracts, using approved language and templates in the system, putting placeholders into the actual contract, going through approvals with e-signatures with DocuSign, also available with OpenText Core Signature, filing in a central location that governance can take place in, and then the ongoing monitoring and maintenance of anything contract related. So I'll open it up for any questions. If you want to type them in the chat or unmute, just let me know. If not, we will call this one a session and look forward to putting one on in July on either HR onboarding or accounts payable. And If there's any feedback on which one you'd like to see first, just let me know. Those are the two more popular requests we've gotten in the last little while. A request to show the RM side of the completed contract from Andy. So Andy, what you can do in here, let's say the entire contract is a project, and in your case, it's probably a linear asset or something, right? We're putting something together. You can do the entire records classification and disposition at a workspace level. So that's what you'd like to do. You want to add that RM class, which I can't quite do from here, but you add that RM class here, and you set your retention on that based on the metadata fields, wrong button, such as, in this instance, likely termination date. So let's say we're terminating end of August. It's 7 years. I know records managers hate that example, but 7 years post contract completion. This will run in 2028 on the entire workspace. If you want to get more granular, you can do that. One question on the recording. Yes, the recording will be sent out. We'll share that out with everybody that's attended. Any other questions? Doesn't look like it. Okay, well, I tried to keep it short. I know everybody's probably burning out on online video things, so 27 minutes it is. We'll stop the recording now, please. And look forward to you guys attending the next one on HR or accounts payable. Stay tuned.